When I was in the 8th grade, I wasn't the most diligent of students. For any teachers in the room, I was that kid. Teachers would constantly complain about me, but to be honest, at the time, it wasn't something I considered important and something I didn't care about at all. Around March of that academic year, we had student government elections. And the way the student government system works for my school is, it's quite the process. A large part of what determines whether or not you win the position is dictated by how you present a speech to the rest of the student body. Now, there's nothing specifically special about this day. It's just an excuse for us to miss 2 hours of class and then tick a few names next to a few boxes and carry on with our lives. Nothing special about this day at all. So, this day came along. My friends and I sat together and paid little attention to who and what was being said, until this one person got on stage. He was running for head prefect, the famous blue tie, my friends would say. I remember he had this presence as he got on stage, this sort of thing that commanded your attention and begged you to listen to what he was saying. He got on stage and the first thing he said was, "I accept your nomination to be head prefect." Now, I'd never heard anything quite like this. Someone so confident in themselves, they were insinuating we wanted them to win so badly, we had in fact nominated them. But second, I can't remember anything else he said. But I remember how he said it. You see, that voice is what caught my attention, and that voice is what changed my life. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Owen Jenkins, and welcome to my TED Talk on The Voice of a Leader. I lost my dad at a very young age to colon cancer. This meant that for the majority of my life, I grew up in a single-parent household. My mom did the best she could to raise me the values that a man should have, but unfortunately, I didn't have that male parental influence to shape me in my earlier years. This meant for a very long time, I didn't know what I needed to act like as a man. Until this person got on that stage. Suddenly, he served as an idea of what I needed to act like and how I was going to become that person. All because of that voice. That voice that convinced me to pay attention and pushed me to be greater than I was. Years later, I found myself on the same stage, making the same speech, starting it in the same way, and now Monday through Friday, every week, I wear the famous blue tie around my neck. I like to think that the voice of a leader stems from deep within. It comes from a place of conviction and understanding your goals and using your abilities in order to achieve them. Furthermore, I think the voice of a leader stems from listening to your inner voice. That little whisper inside you that tells you, you can be great and you can make the difference. Let's look at some of the greatest leaders our world has ever had. Martin Luther King, Barack Obama, Winston Churchill. These are some of the greatest orators we've ever had. I like to think that experiences sort of marinate your voice and give it depth. These are all people who would talk to you and command your attention without raising their voice. Let's look at Nelson Mandela. As you all know, he spent 27 years in prison. This built the basis for his voice. After his first 2 years in prison, he went on trial in front of a jury, where you'd obviously presume he was going to try and convince them that he's innocent. But instead, he said with a stern voice, "I am prepared to die." Now, I'd never heard anything quite like this. Why would you want to say that? But then I stopped and I thought about it the way he would have said it. And I realized something special about the voice of leaders. It changes your perception. 25 more years in prison, he came out and he made the famous "A Rainbow Nation" speech. Now, at first I heard this and I put it in context with what a rainbow nation means in today's society, and I was quite confused. I couldn't understand what he was going on about. But then I stopped again, and I thought about it as if he was the one talking to me. And I realized something about the voice of a leader. It articulates their vision, punctuates their leadership ability, and creates a sense of faith from those who follow them. Now today, we have countless young leaders who are using their voice to change the world. Ilwad Elman, who runs the Elman Humanitarian and Peace Center in Somalia, Somalia's first center that caters for victims of gender-based violence. Greta Thunberg, Need I say more? A teenager who's using her voice to change how we interact as a global community. Fatma Junette, a girl who's my age, in my school, doing everything she can to provide sanitary towels for girls in Kwangware Primary School. Ladies and gentlemen, these are people who are using their voices to literally handwrite the future. Now, I've used this voice to lead countless things, because that day when I heard that speech, without speaking to me, he woke a voice within me, a voice that pushed me to be greater than I was. I used this voice to lead one project. I started and ran a campaign to raise funds for lesser privileged cancer patients. This is because after I lost my dad, I lost my mom 8 years later to colon cancer as well. This built the basis and sort of marinated my voice. I remember one time, my mom and I were in the reception of my school. My school's reception is decorated with honorary boards that commemorate the highest performing students in each academic year. Now, my mom looked around, and she said to me, almost in a joking tone, "You better end up on one of these boards one of these days." Now, I'm sure for all of you who have African parents in this room, you know very well that African parents don't joke about such things. And in fact, she was instructing me to end up on one of those boards. Now, you see, my mom's voice articulated her own vision for my greatness through me. She created a sense of faith within myself because of her voice. I believed through her that I can be great. And ladies and gentlemen, today I can comfortably and thankfully say that I am in fact on one of those boards. Now, in conclusion, I just want to leave you with two things. The first and the most important thing is to listen to that inner voice. Listen to what it tells you and listen to how it's telling you to shape your life. And second, don't underestimate the power your voice has on the people who are listening. Thank you.